You are now listening to the Hope Health Community Podcast.
I think there's that tendency or like temptation to compare oneself. And I think the story of my college experience has been like trying to like train myself away from like that compared aspect. Because like, again, like we're playing different, like, the analogy I think I like wrote in my journal one time that I go back to a lot is like, I think of like video games. Like if Mario, for example, like he judged his bank account by how many gold rings he has, he's always going to think he's poor. The same way that if Sonic measured his by gold coins, he's going to also be poor. And it's like, it's not that either one of them is wrong or like less than. It's just there's different currencies or like different rewards.
Happy New Year. I'm super excited to be back with you as our community, the Hope Health community. And Rochelle, I just want to throw it out there really quickly. We cannot start this by not seeking out what your hope is for the new year. So what
Oh man, I didn't do that question before we started. I love it. I think my hope for the new year is internal peace, if I'm being really honest, because it's chaotic in the world right now. I think we started the new year kind of following the trend of last year with a lot of upheaval and with political crises. But for some reason, I think I learned that we can still have peace within when things are falling apart around us. So that's my hope. And I think our community, I think Black people across the world, in my observation, we're just really intense about internal peace, even when we can't control oppressive structures. And so I have hope in my community always. And for this year, I really want us to experience that peace.
Man, you hit another part. Why are you acting like you don't know what to say? So we forgot to do a really quick introduction, but you know us by now because you're part of the community. And we come to this platform talking as mothers and members of the community. And this is...
My name is Ruben Stephen. Hello, everybody. I'm a current junior at MIT studying mechanical engineering and computer science. And when I'm not studying, I also create content on my Instagram page at rsteven.04. And yeah, I also try to help out as much people as I can with the admissions process, partially because like growing up in like a first gen low income household, I didn't really have that sort of guidance. And so I'm trying to be like the person that I wish I had back then.
I love it. And you guys go check him out. He shouted it out, but we'll also make sure we put it in the section below with all the information so that you can check his content out, because it is definitely worth checking it out. If you have young people that you're trying to parent, definitely a model for especially young Black boys, which both myself and Dr. Rochelle have. So we were super excited to see the content that you make, Ruben. And so I am going to be quiet a little bit and kind of send this over to Rochelle to kind of start us out with some of the questions that we have. But we just want this to be very conversational and for you in the audience to really get intrigued enough to continue let us know if we need to bring Ruben back. We would love to do that, because I know there are a lot of things that probably will come up that we will want to discuss but may not have enough time in this segment.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Ruben. I did one of those cold DMs. Like, people talk about like they DM'd me. That's what I did to you. And I was like, guys, I'm gonna DM him. I don't know if he's gonna reply. But he did. And we were so hyped. Like, because like Rasheeta said, we have kids, we have young kids, and I have let me not rush my baby. I have a sophomore, I'm a junior. I have a sophomore and I have a rising ninth grader too, and then a 7-year-old. And so the two boys are going to be high schoolers, junior and freshman in the fall. And that's an intense time for my firstborn. And so I've been really looking for content on how to be supportive in today's world, because so much is different. When we were applying to college 20 something years ago, 20 years ago, it's just so different. And I feel for students of today, and I feel for the parents of students, because I am one. But your content is so It's so beautiful. It's so genuine. It's so hopeful. And I'm glad that you decided to share. So we have just a couple of questions because we know your story is so fascinating. We want to give you time to just share what you want. But our questions are really thinking about, today's climate, right? And so you mentioned you're first gen and you came from a low income background. I also know that you're Haitian American. And so you have immigrant background as well. So how did all of this kind of shape you going to MIT, but also like your motivation, right? Like how did you use all of this to motivate you, especially in the time of DEI backlash?
Yeah. So this is a long story. I'm gonna try to like compress it a little bit, but I guess like starting off with that like Haitian American piece. I am the son of two immigrants who didn't move to the United States until they were like already in their 20s. And so I think like a good portion of my upbringing was characterized by that, I guess, sort of divide of we are in this new country and like I'm in school and acclimating, but like when I go back home, there's like this other, I guess, like culture and like I guess like mode of being. And I think like operating as somebody in between two worlds very much like I think caused a little bit of strife, like growing pains and like adapting, but then also has equipped me with like a perspective that I think is like very valuable even until this day and like the work that I'm doing. But I guess like in terms of the motivation, like we also weren't particularly like high income and like yeah, I'll just be completely honest. Like my familial situation wasn't the most, I guess, like functional. There was, I guess, like some domestic issues going on, and in terms of like how that played into my motivation, it like really inspired me to like go even harder. Uh, for additional context, out of my siblings, there's six of us total. I'm the youngest, and I'm the first to attend university. And so I think it was about like when I was 12 years old, like middle school age, is when I really started like noticing, like I guess coming to awareness of like the circumstances we faced ourselves with, and like the fact that there were like in my family people who were pursuing, I guess, careers as much as like jobs. I think I internalized and took it upon myself to be that change that I wanted to see in my family. It really like even now, like to this day, like when I'm like not having the best of times, like school gets a bit rough, like I always try to bring myself back to that initial why. And it's like it's not for the diploma, it's not for any job, it's not for any salary I'm able to obtain. It's really so that I can make sure that one, I can take care of like my existing family, like make sure my mom's good, like retire her early. But even more so than that, like for the next generations coming up behind us, I want to ensure that no child of mine or child of my siblings, etc., has to go through the same exact sort of upbringing that we did growing up. And I think that's where a lot of my motivation comes from.
Wow, that gives me chills.
Oh my God.
Super inspiring. I think in my mind, it's as you were talking, definitely kind of processing, but really listening. And I wonder if for you, I know school can be quite challenging, and not only academically. I'm sure I know that it's robust and rigorous, but just the social environment. I'm sure there can be a bit, for lack of a better term, difficult to navigate or, being nice, I guess probably is a better way to put that. So I kind of, this is a two-pronged question and I can break it up if we need to, but give us a sense of your current state, where you are, and how you feel like you navigate that environment that you in order to still be successful, given all of the things that probably are layered on as far as barriers to potentially hindering that success. And then I also wanted to think about, and this could be maybe a little quick question that I wanted to throw in there. When you talk about making sure the next generation doesn't have to experience the hardships that you all did, does it feel like a burden or a weight to have to carry something like that at your age, being the youngest? Like, I'm really curious about that, because I identify with it in the way that my dad's family was. So I'm just curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I'll start with the second question because I think it leads into that other
Yeah.
part about like how I've been navigating. So I guess in terms of like feeling a sense of burden, being completely honest, it does get that way at times. Like there's definitely been times like this past semester, like junior fall, where I've been like in my room, like honestly, like stressing, like feeling as though I should be doing more, or should I be achieving more, like sending more money back home, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so like to a degree, I think it does create like a conflict of interest where like my body and like mind might have to be in Boston or like at school, but my heart is, I think, to a large degree still back home.
Wow.
And so in terms of like how I've been navigating the, I guess like not the most diverse background of MIT, I think
Yeah. There you go.
it does like having those additional, I guess, like stressors on my mind, I think also plays into the level of otherness or like divide that I might feel for my peers, just because no, like this isn't, I guess, like a knock against them, but like
Yeah.
I don't think that everybody is dealing with those same sorts of issues, and so like they can't necessarily always relate to me.
Yeah.
But,
That's fair.
and I think when I was earlier in my college career, I think I was definitely worse at like handling that. But as I've continued to like matriculate through my college experience, I've gotten more, I guess, comfortable. One, with understanding that we're not playing the exact same game. Like me and, for example, like a counterpart of mine who has like both parent homes, came from a probably like well off, you feel me, like background. And so like they can come here and like party and like do whatever, and like, you know, like they have the safety net under them, you know.
Yes.
So I don't have that exact same experience, and so I think there's that tendency or like temptation to compare oneself, and I think I've the story of my college experience has been like trying to like train myself away from like that compared aspect, because like again, like we're playing different, like the analogy I think I like wrote in my journal one time that I go back to a lot is like I think of like video games. Like if Mario, for example, like judged his bank account by how many gold rings he has, he's always going to think he's poor. The same way that if Sonic measured his by gold coins, he's going to also be poor. And it's like it's not that either one of them is wrong or like less than. It's just there's different currencies or like different rewards.
Absolutely. Well, you just found that up real nicely.
Beautiful. I know, you know, I hope you're okay with me using the word beautiful, because I just can't.
No problem.
I'm really stunned by you. I mean, you journal. I mean, are you kidding? I love that.
I know, right?
I try to encourage young people to journal because there's so many health benefits of journaling, but primarily the self-awareness that you seem to have. I can really hear that you're processing things and not just letting it slide by, right? You're processing. You talked about your body and mind being in one space to function and do your job as a student, but your heart being somewhere else entirely. And that separation of mind, body, and spirit that's a friction that you're dealing with every day. So I want to go to the question about like, how do you take care of yourself with the separation of identities, and you know, and up to the part B to that question is, who's there for you and who's mentoring you while you're at MIT?
Yes. Great.
Yeah. So yeah, with the, I guess like taking care of oneself, this has also definitely been a learning process for me. Like I think my initial reaction, I guess, or like approach to stress, I tried to apply the same mindset or framework that I had throughout high school when I got to college. And I really just realized that it wasn't working. And like, I guess more specifically, that was the mindset of it all has to be by me or like come through me, or like I have to do this all on my own. Asking, this is also, I don't know, like growing up as a young Black male, it's just like, oh, asking for help is a sign of weakness. Therefore, I never need help. Everything I could do by myself. And it was just like, So like freshman year, I tried to continue that. So it was like I was going through a lot, like I guess like the culture shock, imposter syndrome, et cetera, et cetera. And like it was really just like me and the journal. And then like I would have like I had just met friends, so it's like the relationships weren't as close. But I think a lot of it was like internalizing the emotions or issues and like not leaning on support structures as much as like I've learned to over the years. And so I think that was like the how to not do it. And then I think what I've been like coming to now is one, like making like regular scheduled time to like call back, because I feel like for example, like this junior, yeah, like it, because especially like when you're like in the middle of semester, it gets so caught up in like your schedule that like you just forget, or at least for me, like I'll just forget because I'm just like working on PSETs, and it's like I find myself being like, I feel homesick, or like I feel like disconnected or like out of community. And it's like, you have community. It's literally a phone call away. But like, there's like that internal mental friction that's built up of like, no, I can't. Something else, I think that was also hindering me. Like, I guess to that point of like, I can't be a burden was like a repeated pattern of my thoughts of like, if I call my parents or like my brother, not my parents, if I call my mom or like my brother or my sister or something like that, and I just tell them like, hey, I'm having a terrible day, I'm stressed about school or whatever, they have their, like the way I would perceive it is that they have their own problems and stressors, so I would just be adding things onto their plate. I don't want to do that. But I think near the end of this junior fall, I like again like built it into the schedule so that like just the same way that I schedule in study time, I schedule in like family time and like fostering and like developing those relationships.
That
Me too.
I can now imagine your mom looking forward to these calls. Yeah. So I know that your family has expressed how proud they are of you. I can only imagine, but I will say I don't even know you like that. I only know you from online, but I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
You know, and like now hearing more of how you're processing even your ups and downs, it's truly, truly admirable. I mean, it's leap years away of grown like adults, like grown, you know. And for sure, like so I don't know. So you know, I'm sure there's so many other questions, but I wanted to express that because I you're making people proud and you're doing what you're committed to your why in such a way that it is truly palpable. Like we can feel it, we hear it even in, you know, just kind of what you're sharing now. And I'm glad that you've learned how to take care of yourself and that you're learning more, that you're not a burden.
Yeah, it's really amazing to hear your maturation process as you, grow both personally and academically. Like, I think that you provide great context for younger people when it comes to their pursuit of higher education. I'm proud of you too. And we're the official aunties, so we're here. Let us know what I mean. Just let us know. I think that is building community among Black individuals along the diaspora. I mean, I just even myself, there's so many different backgrounds and cultures. It's so rich. And I think we learn so much from each other. And we actually learn how much we have in common, even if we're from different, cultural backgrounds, even within the diaspora. So I will jump back into a question that's near and dear to me. I think it's appropriate to kind of start here, though, around the advice you might have for high schoolers, like Rochelle Wilson's. I mean, that time unfortunately goes so quickly in their seniors, so soon. And I'm sure you experienced that too. It's like you turned around and you were, applying for college and then attending. So do you have any, tips, anything that you would feel that is important for you to convey to them, especially if they're wanting to pursue higher education at an Ivy League school? I mean that there are levels to this.
MIT, I mean, it is the brand for engineering and STEM, right? It is one of the biggest brands, and so just the pressure, it's like clearly you're somebody that can handle a lot of pressure, right? You're the last born carrying a family on your back. Like, right? But now you're going to carry this brand of MIT wherever you go. And so, yeah, I love that question, Rasheeta.
Yeah. So I'm gonna split my answer to this to like two separate phases. One being, I guess, like building up the resume or like the portfolio that you're going to apply with, and then like advice I would have for like going about presenting those accomplishments in the actual application itself. And so for, I guess, like setting oneself up to be competitive for like a top school like that, I'm gonna like mainly focus on MIT because that's like the route I went down.
Of course.
But I would say obviously your GPA and like grades matter. You want to be able to protect that as much as possible. And I would say like particularly if you're going down a STEM field, what is also really important is the build activity. So like if you can join a team like First Robotics, or you can get involved in extracurriculars like Science Olympiad, things like those, they're going to additionally help your resume. Also, like in my personal experience, like the way, like I think I wasn't the most typical MIT applicant in the sense that I wasn't like inventing the newest invention or like making a cure for cancer. But I think what I like was able to express with my application was a level of well-roundedness, maturity, and obviously like academic excellence within the fields of like math and science because I was applying as an engineer. So I would say I have like, for example, like I get a lot of questions or like comments and DMs from people asking me like, which extracurricular should I do? Like, which club should I be involved in and stuff like that. I think the highest level of advice I could give is to follow your genuine curiosity and passion, because I feel like a lot of people go about it trying to phone things in or only do things because they know that the colleges are going to like this, and they can smell it on you if you're passionate. Like if the drive isn't actually there, it's going to show up sooner or later.
That's amazing. Great advice. I'm like taking it all in.
Oh, I'm writing notes.
And I guess like continuing along that thread for like the application itself, I think the best piece of advice I could give is to understand that you're playing a marketing and sales game.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, college is a financial institution that profits off of you going there and giving them your tuition money. And part of the reason why they're making that investment in you is because they're trying to get a return for their brand. So for example, MIT made a good investment on me. I'm not gonna lie. Like you do how much PR I'm doing for them, bro.
But not just that, the human that you are. I mean, whoever saw your application and said yes, they got it right. We already know. Right? Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you hit it on the head all the way with regards to applying and what you should do. I think my follow-up question to that is the fact that, so I am from a small rural area in Florida, and I know that some people are from areas that may not be high resource areas, and they may doubt their abilities to be able to be competitive because they don't have private high schools in their town. We had one high school that everybody went to. I was wondering if, you could take it from your background. Did you go to like these schools that kind of are pipelines to Ivy League schools, or were you a part of a public high school, but you just excelled there? I was just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, so I was definitely a public school product through and through. I would say that my high school I went to, it was still a public school, but it was like a lottery system. Like I had to apply to get in. But I guess just like to that point of like, okay, if you're from an under-resourced area, like how do you still help yourself to be competitive? I think I would definitely recommend, like if it is possible, self-studying an AP exam. Like if you can fit that into your own schedule, taking that initiative would be really useful. There's also dual enrollment. Again, this might be dependent on if you have like a local community college around you that you'd have access to.
Yeah.
That's another way. Honestly, I recommend dual enrollment slightly above AP just because you can get more classes done because they're based on semesters instead of the entire year.
Right. Okay. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Of course.
So I was just a little sneaky in, but
Yeah, and follow him, y'all, because I mean, you have a strong following. but more people really need to be tapped in because you share so many gems and it's coming from your own experiences. And so why MIT? And I'm really asking this because I have young Black boys that we are encouraging to consider HBCU. And I did not go to HBCU, but if
I did. So
Rasheeta said we got about HBCU. Listen, I'm a proud undergrad,
and then I did do a
it don't matter.
I mean, I do have that
I
hug
actually
from
think
HB.
I think undergrad is the time, right? I really think undergrad is where I've seen people, the flourishing and the love that you get in those undergrad years is so critical. Like,
Well, we filter into HBCUs have the most. They filter into graduate schools the most. Like so,
exactly. The data is there. HBCUs prepare strong undergraduate students to enter into the best and most rigorous graduate programs in the world, right? So the data is there. I think because the data is not given out to people, especially in the Northeast, especially within immigrant communities, we don't know that these are breeding grounds for so much support and excellent support, right? Because you're already looking at fighting the system to get into a university, but then to get there and not feel that support is extremely isolating. And I experienced that in the PWI. And I had like one Black professor that I've held on to for 20
don't leave.
like I still be checking it like because I mean it's rough and I like to say I'm a proud survivor of the PWI, but I had to survive some stuff, okay, some tragic, horrific, it's not macro aggressions, things like you shouldn't be in this physics class type stuff, right? And so professors asking me to see my registration to be in a statistics class. Yes, just horrific. Now, the school I loved and it supported me, but the experiences of individual professors was traumatic. And so you're still in school, so I don't want you to divulge too much, but because you're going to need recommendations, right?
You and that jump out in general.
But the general experience of, choosing MIT when you probably could have gotten into all the top HBCU, and they have some really excellent STEM programs. What was that process like? And tell us what your thoughts are even now.
Yeah. So I guess like starting off with the why MIT, I think that's like where I want to jump off because it has changed over time. So originally, like the decision to go to MIT was made like when I was like back when I was like around 12 years old. That first decision, I think, to like lock in and like the realization that things were on me. And the thought process I went through was, okay, what do I have available to me? Like I was taking stock of my, I guess, like skills or affinities as a 12-year-old. And it's like, okay, I'm somewhat decent at math and science. I seem to do well in school. Therefore, my like three primary options, also like immigrant parents, like Haitians especially, they love lawyer, doctor, engineer. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's immigrant parents.
And so out of those three options, I was also like concerned about time. Like since I'm the youngest, I was like looking at it like the clock's a ticking. How can we do this like somewhat faster? And so I was somewhat like turned off from the idea of lawyer and doctor because they both required grad school and like additional residency and things like that. And so I chose engineering. And then there was also, I guess, like an additional filtering process of what sort of engineer. I ended up choosing mechanical. And then based on that, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, where is the like best place I can take this? Like, what is the top? And like, it was literally like a Google search, best engineering schools.
Yep.
Like, okay, boom, MIT's number one. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm not half stepping nothing. So if we're doing this, we're doing this.
We're going to apply to the number one.
Yeah.
Love it. Did you apply other places? You don't have to say where, but I just was curious if you did.
Yeah, no problem. So again, I guess like I wasn't the most typical applicant. And so I was looking at things very much from like a financial standpoint. So when I was originally applying, like I'm from Florida as well, and Florida has a scholarship called Bright Futures.
Yeah, I got a bright futures too.
Yeah. And so for anybody who's not aware of Bright Futures, if you graduate with your IB diploma, I believe you automatically qualify. Or if you meet a certain threshold of GPA,
13%. Yeah.
SAT, and community service hours, you get a full ride to essentially anywhere in the state.
Yeah.
And so I had that on my like resume by the time I was applying. And so my thoughts on it was like, okay, if I can't get to like this top reach school, I was like fulfilling the promise to like my younger self, then I'm going to take the economic choice and stay in state, get everything paid for, and be close to home. And so this is actually so crazy. I in total only applied to 2 schools. One of them being MIT, and then the other being the University of Central Florida.
Oh, okay. Orlando, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
But the reason for that, like honestly, like there was definitely more schools on my Common App, but I got the MIT decision like early action, and so I was like,
Good.
was like, okay.
Goes up. Yeah. Well, Mike's to me, that's actually good because they want to nab you before you make the decisions. So,
But looking back on it now, having been here for my 2.5 years and surviving the PWI, as you said, I definitely have found myself like really, really thinking like what my life could have been had I went to somewhere like FAMU.
that's my
Yeah, she liked the same you. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel you, and I think there are you're at MIT, you're getting that experience. It will build you in ways that I know you're now experiencing, but you'll come out with with respect for it because it will reflect the job market because you're going to be the top of the top and you're going to be seeing more people who don't look like you than and who do. And so I think those environments are helpful in that sense because you start to learn how to navigate and really make your presence known without you're able to finesse. And even being in Florida, growing up in Florida, you have to learn that early too. So
Yeah. What we have a pop culture thing that we want to start to bring into our chats and get our guests' viewpoints on it. But before we bring that in, I had a question about NSBE, right? The National Society of Black Engineers, because I know you talk a lot about that. And how has that helped to supplement kind of what's missing in terms of that looks like you, that has gone through what you've gone through, that has similar backgrounds to you. And, Black people are not all the same, but just having access to so many through NSBE, how has that helped you to keep pushing at MIT?
Yeah. Honestly, if not for NSBE, I honestly think I might have lost my mind by now.
Or being back home, like I'll go somewhere home.
Yeah. So I would say like one, like within MIT's chapter itself, obviously it's just like a place of community and like where you can hold space and people who like, especially I guess like who can resonate with the being Black at MIT experience is very useful. But then also what I really, really appreciate about NSBE is that it gives me an opportunity such like ways to connect with people in the greater Boston area as well. Like the different chapters that exist, for example, at Northeastern or BU or like Harvard's NSBE, and like getting to build that like wider connection. And then taking that one step further, like the NSBE Nationals Convention, that is honestly like a highlight of every spring semester.
I love it.
Wow. Well, it sounds like a much needed organization. So, and it's
Absolutely. And I can see you as somebody that will take up serious leadership and not once you graduate. Because your commitment to community is on a level that is not usual, right? And so I'm just excited for your future. Very thankful for you. So let's talk about some of the pop culture things that we're seeing. You brought up something earlier that I think connects directly to this, right? So you talk about being a Black young man and not asking for help and how that seems like it's a weakness. So Kai Sana, who I learned about through my kids and how like this
Yeah.
he's like I mean, I didn't realize
Twitch, right? Twitch phenomenon.
I mean, it's like phenomenal what he's done. And he's, such a heartwarming, like I get why people watch him. Like,
Yeah,
I get
he's
it, right? And
Mhm.
so he started to read out loud and kind of talk through some of the challenges that he's having. And then people were mocking him, but he's so grounded and centered that he was just like, look, I need to do this for me. So I want you to watch this clip with us and then tell us, like, give us feedback on what you think about what he's doing and what this means for young Black men and young Black youth in general, or young Black youth in general.
Spontaneity. Oftentimes when I don't know what a word is pronounced, I get to look at how it's pronounced and what it even means.
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. The condition of being spontaneous. Spontaneity.
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 Yeah. I think my first reaction is just like, I love to see it, man. Like, especially because I think like I'm so moved by it, especially, and like I'm so glad to see it coming from him in particular, just because of like how much influence he has on like these young kids. And I think I'd seen like that clip when like somewhere else on social media, and like I'd seen some of the comments of like some of the people watching his stream were like, oh, I'm gonna go rent this book from my local library now because Kai did it. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I love to see this.
Yeah. I love it too. That's amazing. And I did
We are literally, we're literacy people, right? Like, Dr. Rasheeta and I mean, we read for a living, we write for a living. So this takes us excited. But I think when you spoke about the attack on intellectualism, it starts at the level of picking up a book.
Yeah.
Right? And so the way that kids it's easier, or in their mind, their reflex is to pick up their phone for information rather than pick up a book or go to the library. And so I love that he had the physical book
in his hand.
because it is different. The learning is different when that book is in your hand. And those are that book that he's reading, we don't need to give them more anymore. But that's a really important book for young people. And I'm sure that they have seen an incredible increase in sales since he's will he get his cut. But thank you so much, Ruben. Your insights are gonna have us thinking for a long time, and we're gonna keep following you. We're gonna keep sharing you on. Tell us as we wrap up, like you mentioned earlier about your hope to kind of be different, or at least be comfortable with one's differences. Here's the hope I have for you. I hope that you never feel like a burden to anybody ever.
Thank you.
Like, you are such a treasure. And I hope that you realize that. And yeah,
And I hope that you never, well, I've gotten better, but I hope that you start to realize that you're never an imposter in an environment that doesn't always reflect you in when you're looking at it. I wrestle with that a lot in my profession. But trust me, I've gotten much more confident, and it's oftentimes that others, because we're so hard on ourselves, we go in so prepared, usually know more than everybody else there, but then we're feeling a little bit inferior, or like we don't belong. So I'm just saying, my hope for you is that you realize that you belong there if that's where you want to be.
We want to wrap up in terms of learning about your hope for young people, especially in today's world. So yeah, we're just, we have our hopes as moms, as professors, as people of a different generation, but we have our hopes for you, right? But like, what do you have for your own, demographic?
Yeah, and this honestly kind of relates to like the clip with Kai Cenat, and like I guess that overall, I think it touches on like the conversation of like anti-intellectualism, and like, for example, like the backlash he was receiving for like being vulnerable, like showing himself in the process of trying to learn. I My hope is that more of the response that is cheering him on becomes, I guess, like more pervasive within Gen Z overall. And like I think I have like a couple hopes or like messages I would give to like my peers.
Yeah.
One, that like being smart is cool or like is not lame. Like for example, like clowning somebody who's like working on themselves is definitely not cool. Like I would like, I don't know, my personal philosophy is I can never look down on somebody who's like working towards something. For example, like somebody who's like big at the gym, like at least they're still at the gym, you know? And I think one of my hopes is that like there's a increased level of value put into effort, and like people, I guess, like coming to realize that like trying is cool. And I guess like the other like main piece of advice is like, I guess like the not necessarily individualism over everything, but I guess like finding a sense of self as opposed to just taking all of your opinions or I guess views from the majority or the collective, like taking that piece and like applying it to both one's like internal life, but also like the way that you're looking and like operating around in the world around you.
Love it.
I love that. And I appreciate that you feel like you still can be an individual and have individual identity in conjunction with being teachable, because you still, I'm still molding my little ones in. They think they know everything. And I said, it's okay. I don't want to quash your personality. I appreciate who you're coming to be, right? Your own selves, but you still gotta
Lot to learn.
be flyable, listen to things that people here have been here longer than you, and people been trying to get you to move. So I think that balance, it sounds like you certainly have kind of mastered that balance of like, I know who I am. You may still be learning some things about yourself, which we all are, but for the most part, you're pretty grounded in that, but you're still teachable. Like you listen and then allow people to pour us. And I think that's
Yeah. I love it.
yay. So we are going to let you kind of decompress. We know you came straight on here from class, but we hope that we get a chance to re-engage back with you maybe later in the year to hear about how your year is going, how your semester's going, and probably, to pick your brain just a little bit more too. So but I feel like we know each other. And of course, since you're from Florida, I just feel like
Y'all might be friendly.
it's here. Yeah, we would love to have you back at some point. So we got your contact information. But if we could do anything for you, please let us know. Again, we are super proud of you and thank you for joining our community.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for listening and for watching. And we hope that you enjoyed Ruben's story. He's a wonderful young man and he brings a lot of hope to us. So take care and be kind to yourselves.